Welcome to episode 3 of Living in Recovery, a podcast devoted to sharing the stories of fellow CBP employees who are living in recovery with an addiction. The focus of this podcast is to share the experiences of those who have struggled with alcohol or drugs in the hopes of breaking the stigma that's often associated with addiction. Also, the goal of this podcast is to stimulate hope amongst those who may be struggling but are discouraged or intimidated by the prospect of seeking help. As a disclaimer, the words expressed in this podcast are based on personal experiences alone and are not meant to be taken as medical advice or to promote one method of treatment. Today, Tim shares his experience of growing up as a family member of someone with an addiction. Tim is a program manager in the Wellness and Resiliency Division of CBP. So, Tim, when did you first know there was a problem in your house with alcohol or drugs?
Well, thank you for that, Stephanie. When did I first know? I think it was years later. When I was a child, both my dad and my mom were raging alcoholics, and my grandpa and my grandma on my dad's side were raging alcoholics, and my granddad on my mom's side was a raging alcoholic. So for me, that was normal. So that's what I thought every kid had in their life. So when did I find out that that was not normal? It was many years after I had actually moved out of the house, joined the Air Force, went to college, and saw alcoholism in other people, and realized this wasn't right. This wasn't the normal way people are brought up. So I would say it was, probably when I was getting my bachelor's degree in Southern Illinois. When I was seeing this, I was dating somebody who was a raging alcoholic, and that's a pattern that people in a family situation have, is that we take care of other people. We take care of the family. And I got a lot of clarity on that even years after that, when I went into some therapy sessions when I got married. Everything just was really off. My wife was abusing alcohol at the time. We went into therapy, and the therapist recommended that I go to Al-Anon and join up with Al-Anon and talk to other people that were in a similar situation. And when I did that, it really opened up my eyes to, this is not a normal situation. When you're a kid in it, you don't know anything else. But when you're an adult and you're listening to other adults talk about their same situations, you can kind of pick it out and go, whoa, that's really messed up. I don't want that for my family that I'm raising. So I would say it didn't occur to me until 2013. And I'll be turning 50 at the end of this year. And so that's a long time to think that's a normal lifestyle when it actually isn't a normal lifestyle.
That's a long time. And how long did you go to Al-Anon?
Well, I attended in-person Al-Anon meetings probably 2013, 2014. And I was in that for about 2 or 3 years. At the time, my wife was on the what we like to call the other room. She was doing her AA meetings. So we were going through this recovery together. I was doing the in-person stuff for a few years. The group that I went to, there was a large age difference, and there was a large religious difference between me and most of the people that were attending. And with Al-Anon, they're not really pushing religion at you, which is important for me. But some of the members of there were of a certain religious and political bent that I didn't really agree with, that it was interfering with what I was getting out of Al-Anon. And I was the youngest person there at the ripe old age of 40, 41. And the next youngest person was in their 60s. So there was a lot of disconnects going on with that. So I stopped attending in-person ones, but I did attend. They have phone meetings that you can go to that are available. They're free. They're available all throughout the day, every day of the week, different topics, which are fantastic. And especially when the pandemic hit, a lot of meetings were closed down anyways, or they had to go virtual anyways. So this was, my main source that I still use to this day. I don't attend phone meetings every single day, but I know that when I need to attend one, I can go ahead, make the phone call, and make that happen. The other problem is that I was commuting a lot. My commute is an hour and a half from where I'm at to DC each way. So starting a new family, making sure that my wife is having a successful recovery, making sure that I'm having a successful recovery for myself was a real challenge. So there are options out there for people. Most of the meetings have opened back up in person. They have a lot of virtual meetings, and they have a lot of these phone meetings as well. So, like if I'm in between a meeting here at work, and I'm not feeling right, and I know I need to get into a meeting, I'll just go ahead and do some work, do some little bit of multitasking, listening onto a phone meeting, and usually by the end of that phone meeting, I'm feeling a lot better about what's happening. Feeling better in my recovery.
If you don't mind, can you talk a little bit about what it was like looking back as a kid? Were there any times that stood out that made you think there was something happening here that now you realize after attending Al-Anon was part of that family issue with addiction?
Sure, absolutely. I remember my grandma on my dad's side. I never wanted to give her a kiss. And the reason was she reeked of alcohol and cigarettes. I mean, reeked. I could tell, now that I'm almost 50, I could tell you what brand of beer she was drinking. She reeked that bad. There was always very violent arguments between my mom and my dad. They would come to fisticuffs sometimes. There was violent arguments with my grandparents and my parents. They would come to fisticuffs. There was physical abuse that happened with that. So, when I look back at it, and, with the help of Al-Anon, or with the help of a therapist that I go see every month, I can look back at those times, and I can't, pinpoint things necessarily. I can't give you the exact dates that I knew stuff happened, but when I look at, my overall childhood, I can see the impact that it had on me. And then I can see, well, because I grew up in a household like that, the life choices that I made. So, as I said earlier, I dated a girl in college that was a raging alcoholic. That's one of the things that, as a child of alcoholic parents, we do. We do a lot of caretaking, and we try to alleviate situations. As a kid, you're trying to alleviate situations that adults are causing and all that. So, you're trying to save people from themselves. And so I saw that pattern happening again and again and again with people that I was dating. And then it finally came to a head when I married a person that was struggling with alcohol. And we were trying to start a family with one person struggling from alcohol and one person with a lot of experience with, living with alcoholics. And that's not a good way to start a family. I don't recommend it for anybody. Don't do that. What I do recommend is, if you don't go to Al-Anon, if you don't, do go that route, definitely have a therapist there to help walk you through it. I notice a lot of similarities when I'm talking with my therapist and Al-Anon. And it's great to have, the programs that we have here at CBP where we can, we can have access to that through our EAP program. But whatever way it is, whatever way you need to go that way to help you out first and foremost, and then to help your family members out. It's kind of like the things with in airlines. I know we haven't flown a lot the past couple of years, but back in the day when we're doing the safety checks with airlines, put the mask on yourself first, and then you can help somebody else out. Same thing I learned in Al-Anon is that I could detach with love. And when I first heard that in Al-Anon, I was like, well, how do you do that? And that's a big thing that I've learned to do. And it doesn't mean you don't love the person. It does mean that you're not allowing their actions to totally ruin everything and totally impact your life. You're responsible for you. They're responsible for their actions. I can love that person, but I need to, set up good boundaries. And that's another thing is that, when you come up in an alcoholic house, you don't get good boundaries because everything is chaotic, everything is insane. But I know for me, I'm teaching my children good boundaries to have. I'm learning from all the mistakes that I went through. And I'm going to make more mistakes. I'm going to make beautiful mistakes. I'm going to make magnificent mistakes, earth shattering mistakes. But I'm not going to make the same mistakes that my parents made, that my grandparents made. This is a generational thing. And I decided when I started going to Al Anon that it ends with me. And we closed the chapter on that book of our family history and open up a brand new book where we can have a healthy relationship. There's going to be bumps along the way. That is life. We know better and we're going to do better.
How has your experience growing up that way impacted your viewpoint of or your own use of alcohol or drugs?
I used to be a drinker. I wouldn't say that I was an alcoholic because I saw the damage that it did and the chaos that it caused. In college, I would say that I was a normal drinker, not a binge drinker. But when I got married and when my wife and I decided to go into our own forms of recovery, that's where having alcohol stopped completely. It's not in our house, not allowed in our house. If we go visit somebody, we're not going to have a drink. If they have beer or wine there, yeah, no thanks. We'll have a iced tea or we'll have a soda or we'll have coffee. So that part of our life stopped, and for a good reason, because it's part of our recovery that we don't do that. I don't miss not having a beer. I really don't. And really never liked the taste of beer anyways, because it reminded me of kissing being forced to kiss my grandma who reeked of beer. Who wants to do that? I mean, ew. I know the impacts that I've had in my life on it. So I used to smoke like 3 packs of cigarettes a day through college. So that was my addiction. And when I had kids, I had to stop smoking because that's not a good thing. And I started and I stopped, and I understand the addiction cycle. And just recently, through Healthier CBP, they had a stop smoking section. And I went ahead through that, and haven't had a cigarette since my wife's birthday, which was in July. So, I'm working through that, and I know how to work the steps because I listen to what my wife goes through to, work through her steps. Al-Anon steps are similar to AA steps. So I have all these tools that I can, I helped myself to stop smoking. I don't go places that have cigarettes. I don't go to convenience stores anymore. If I go to the gas station, I go get gas. I don't go in the gas station because I know that that's where my weakness is. So I don't even go inside those. And you know what? I don't miss it because when you go to the convenience store, you want to get a gallon of milk, it's going to cost you 2 or 3 times that amount. So I have no business going into the convenience store. And so I avoid that. I don't put myself in that position. So that's kind of the benefit that I've gotten from Al-Anon, and it's put me, it helped me to, have the steps to go ahead and end things in my life that are not healthy for me. I have better habits now. I go swimming with my girls. They have swimming lessons. I go swimming on my own. I have a exercise bike that Danette, our head Healthier CBP person, always, she emails me. She's like, Tim, did you get on the bike? Or did you wipe off dust from the bike? So, I have good partners that check in on me. I have good teammates that check in on me. And I'm open to that. And I check in on my teammates too. With the experiences that I had being a caretaker for my family and for the people that I was intimate with, I don't have to be a caretaker for other people. I can just be a positive person that can check on my coworkers and just spread positivity to everyone. Is every day a sunny day? Nope, we have cloudy days. But it makes it easier to have a better positive attitude, doing healthier things for yourself when those cloudy days happen, versus Going out and you have a bad day, go out and have a pack of cigarettes or a 6-pack of beer. That doesn't solve the problem. I'd much rather solve the problem, find a way that's going to work for everybody to solve that problem. So that's kind of what I've learned from that kind of stuff.
And on those cloudy days you speak of, what do you think are obstacles that challenge all of those improvements you've made for yourself, all of those self-help pieces you've added to your life? What puts a ripple in your ability to be positive?
Kind of the nature of our job, working for the federal government, that comes with its own set of stressors that it's kind of unique to federal employees. We're always dealing with some sort of red tape. We're always dealing with somebody that is not putting their full effort into things, for stuff that we're getting paid to do. Before that used to really grind my gears, and I would go out and have a half pack of cigarettes, and when I got done with it, the problem's still there. Didn't solve the problem whatsoever. All that it happened was now I smell like cigarettes, and I'm hacking up a lung and doing harm to my body. So I'd much rather, if I run into that kind of situation, it's going to affect me. It's going to grind my gears a little bit, but I'm going to find a positive workaround in order to get to the point that the issue is solved. Something that I learned in the Air Force is that, and that's kind of where I started my smoking habit. Don't recommend it, folks. We were told, if you have a problem, have a solution. If you have a problem, find a way around it. If things aren't working, try going above it, try going below it, try going to the side. So I use those tactics that I learned from the Air Force, and the healthy habits that Healthier CBP shows and demonstrates, and just having that positive mental attitude that I get from Al-Anon, getting the tools that I get from my therapist, and yeah, they are ripples. They're no longer crashing waves. They're no longer tidal waves like they used to be. Now they're ripples in a pond, and I can live with a ripple in a pond. If something's not going my way at work, I don't let it live rent free in my brain. It just doesn't. I'm not paid for that. I'm not going to do that. If it's something that is not going to impact somebody's life, then I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to try to get the problem solved. But as long as it's not brain surgery or somebody's going to die tomorrow if I don't get this thing knocked out, okay, it can wait till tomorrow. I can have a good night's sleep, go do a couple of laps at the pool, let my subconscious think about it, and then eventually a solution will pop out of the universe and smack me in the face like a brick wall, and I'll be like, oh, of course, why didn't I think of that? And then get the problem solved and everything's good to go.
Knowing the cost of cigarettes, knowing that that's not in your budget and that it adds up, I can only imagine that kind of sticks with you also in that subconscious processing you do.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. I can tell you right now from 30 years of smoking and the increase in packs of cigarettes and the taxes with that, not just the health problems that happen with that, but if I were to take that money and would have invested it, I would be independently wealthy and probably not talking to you today. A lot of us have a lot of these bad habits that we have, negative habits, whatever they are. And I'm not saying, go live like a monk, somewhere on a hill and not have, anything like that at all. Some of my favorite restaurants in town, they'll come up to me, hey, would you guys like, a bottle of wine with your dinner? No, thanks, but you know what? I'll have some coffee. And we leave it at that. We don't miss that bottle of wine because, and a bottle of wine in moderation, has shown health benefits. But you know what? Also, 22 laps in the pool will have the same health benefits for you. And I would rather spend my monthly allowance, if you want to call it that, on a membership at the Y versus a carton of cigarettes. They're not even comparable in price. I know at the Y I pay, oh gosh, $92 a month. No, $75 a month. And a carton of cigarettes, that's over $100 a month. And the carton of cigarettes only helps me. That membership to the Y is my whole family. That's four people right there. That my girls can get swimming lessons. I can. They have a whirlpool there and a sauna that I can go to when things get really stressful. I'll just sign out of work, go over to the whirlpool. Not that I do it during duty hours because I don't, but I'll go over there and release some stress that way. Go lift some weights, go hit a bike, and it's a lot cheaper and it's a lot healthier for me. So there's different coping mechanisms, different strategies, and there are options out there. And I'm not a licensed clinical therapist. I'm not the smartest guy in the planet. I try not to be the smartest person in the room. I do know that there's different ways, different coping mechanisms, and when you come up in an alcoholic and abusive family, you don't learn about those coping mechanisms. You learn that, hey, smoking makes me feel better. Okay, and then you do that for 30 years. You learn that you have to save everybody. You have to save the world. Well, there's not an S on my chest, and that was a really difficult thing for me to overcome. There isn't an S on my chest. I'm a Batman fan. I'm not Batman either. I can't save everyone, but the first person I have to save is myself, and then I can help out other people and help them turn on the light bulb in their life and help them find the path that they need to go on. Not that I need to tell them to go on a certain path, but just help them turn on that light bulb and go, hey, listen, there might be a better way. Let's go search and see what way is going to work for you. It's not going to be my path. I don't want anyone to follow my path. I've already done it and bought the t-shirt. But if I can help other people find the path that they need to go on, that is going to be right for them, fantastic. That's worth more than all the money that I would have saved if I hadn't smoked cigarettes.
You talked about your path and how this was a generational occurrence with your grandparents and then your parents. How do you think you made it out of repeating that pattern?
I can honestly say luck. I got out. I was very lucky to get out of that situation. And it took years and years and years and decades to get out of that situation. But I think there might have been a little spark in me somewhere. And I don't mean to get metaphysical to anybody here, but I just think that there was a spark in me that said, something's not right. This is not solving your problems. When I was able to see that, I was following the same paths. I was repeating the same mistakes. Something inside me clicked and said, you need to do something different. So let's find something different that may be healthier. So I gave therapy a chance. I was like, let me give it a shot. What's it going to hurt? And then the therapist recommended going to Al-Anon. And I was like, do I really want to sit here in front of all these other people and talk about my issues and listen to their issues? And I did that for a while. The group that I was in initially, it didn't work out for me. There was age differences and religious and political differences and all that kind of stuff. But then I was like, you know what, though? Some of the stuff in there really made sense. So let me find a different Al-Anon group. Let me try these phone meetings. And it was easier for me because, like I said, I was commuting. So and I think, again, not trying to get metaphysical on anybody here, but I think there's a little spark inside all of us. And when it goes off, and something inside in the back of your head saying, hey, listen, this isn't correct. It probably might be a good idea to listen to that little spark and go explore different avenues that are healthier avenues for you. Whether that be, going health and fitness, whether that be, Al-Anon, a therapist, going to a church or synagogue or mosque or whatever. And maybe it's listening to an atheist, or I'll even throw it out there, the Satanists. That whatever that is for you, as long as it's a healthy thing, as long as it's a positive thing for you, give it a shot. And make sure you have people around you, a good network around you, of people that are pushing you towards healthy things. And I know the division that I work in, we're all about resilience. We're all about health. We're all about, getting our finances in order. We live in that world every day. And I am thankful every day for all of my teammates that I work with. There's some that, are not the most happiest people on the planet. And, I make sure that in our team chats, I leave a joke of the day. I leave a thought of the day. I leave a fun fact of the day. And, I do what I can do. And if somebody's going to have a bad attitude all the time, then I leave it be. Then I leave it be. Because I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I can't help them out with that. But I also leave the door open. If they want to talk about it, I'm right here on the other side of the screen. Happy to do it. If not, I leave it be.
You said at one point that you had to switch and put your own oxygen mask on, but there came a point also where you knew you wanted to save people and you realized you couldn't. When was that distinction made? Was that therapy? Was that Al-Anon?
Yes to all the above. I think some of that happened at different points in my life. I know Al-Anon and brought up the idea of detach with love. And when I initially heard that, I'm like, how can you do that? How can you detach with love? The best way that I can describe it is that you still love the person, but you don't let you set up, what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And you let them know, this is fine. I can deal with this. But if you cross this line, it is done. And I had to do that, with my wife. I let her know that I love you very much, but this is going to be the line, that just so that way just so we're both clear, you cross this line, we are done. This will not happen. This will not go any farther. I had to do that with some friends of mine out west. They would be drunk and be really upset, and they would call me up at 3 a.m. Well, luckily I was up at 3 a.m. because I have twin girls, and they were infants at the time. But it kept on happening, and I called them up and I said, "Listen, if you have an issue, don't call me at 3 a.m. I'm tired. I'm getting some sleep. I'm taking care of my family. Here is where you need to call in order to get help. You can call me the next day and tell me how it went, or if you need, if you need a reference to something or like that. But first, I had to learn that, I need to develop those boundaries. They're not necessarily walls; they're boundaries, and then I had to enforce those boundaries. So I was able to detach with love, and then after doing that for a while, then that's when I knew I'm not Superman. I can't save everybody. It's not my job to save everybody. We all have our own path that we need to go. So that was later on after learning how to detach with love. So it kind of goes with the spark, detach with love, and then learn not to be Superman. That's kind of my path. That's the way I learned how to do it. It worked for me. Other people, they're going to learn not to be Superman, and then they'll learn how to detach with love, and then that spark will go off because of that. Just the way my path went, that's the order that happened with me.
If somebody listens to this podcast who had a similar situation, or you knew that there was a kid going through the same thing you went through, what advice would you have for them?
And I would even extend it to, any of our employees that, have gone and were brought up in an alcoholic household. Realize that that is not the normal way of things. That's not what, I don't know if there's a such thing as a normal household. And I use huge quotes on that. And I know everyone can see it through their headphones. But realize that that's not a normal situation. And because you were in that really weird situation, that not normal situation, you learned habits to cope with it. Those habits, more than likely, some of them may be healthy habits, some of them may not be healthy habits. But you need to look at your life and what you've learned from that. And if it's not a healthy habit, if you're smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day, if you're trying to save the world and getting frustrated from it, you're not going to be able to help anybody out unless you help yourself first. Would I recommend that they go to Al-Anon? Yeah, you might want to give it a shot. It may not be for you. There's different ways you can go about doing that. I'm not here championing, one method of treatment over the other, but you give it a shot. I'd say go talk to a therapist, or go talk to, a religious figure that you trust, or maybe a teacher that you had in the past that you trust. I'm sure if you look back through your history, you're going to find people that have tapped you on the shoulder politely and said, "Hey, this isn't right," that you may have blown off. Go talk to that person. Go, well, what part of it wasn't right? And they may be able to guide you onto the path that you may need to be on. But I would really, if you came up in a household like that, go and reach out for that help, even if you don't think you need it. I didn't think I needed it for 40 years, and I'm not the sharpest I'm not the sharpest crayon on the box, but I'm a fairly intelligent person. But because of what I thought was normal, that put a lot of blinders on me. When I figured out it wasn't normal, I've been, trying to improve myself in all aspects of my life. Am I a perfect person? Oh gosh, no. Gosh, no. But am I a better person than I was 10, 15, 20 years ago? Absolutely, without a doubt. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't change some of those old beliefs, old patterns. I would not be here today talking to you. And part of the thing is when you're doing the steps with Al-Anon, you're also doing the similar steps with AA. And one of the last steps is to go and mentor and help others. The last steps is to help other people out that are struggling. And so this is part of my step. This is part of my process. This is part of a step in my recovery. And I'm not the one with the problem with alcohol or drugs. I had a problem with cigarettes. I still do. And that's a continual recovery kind of thing. But because of where I grew up and the situation that I grew up in, yeah, I'm going to be in recovery probably for the rest of my life. But you know what? That recovery, I kind of switch it on its head and go improvement. Because when I first heard the word recovery, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Ugh. But like I said, I switched that. I even switched that viewpoint and go, you know what? I'm going to be on an improvement trajectory for the rest of my life. And these are the things I'm going to be doing to improve myself and my family and my community and in my world. So that's what I would tell people to, if you're experiencing that, if you've had experiences similar to that, give that a shot for yourself. Go ahead and reach out and make that call, make that email, whatever you need to do. Reach out for somebody. There are people out there that will help you.
Those are all my questions. Is there anything else you want to say?
We have a lot of great resources here at CBP, great ways that you can get help that you need. The thing that these resources can't do is read your mind. None of us can read your mind. Yeah, I do the financial wellness kind of stuff, but I don't know, what's in your bank account. I don't want to know what's in your bank account. But if you're struggling with something and you don't see a solution, and we'll just stick on financial wellness for a moment. You're struggling financially with something and you don't try to improve the situation, guess what? You're going to struggle with that today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, into retirement. You may not be able to retire because you didn't handle your financial situation. handle your business. We have programs out here to give you a hand. And I know that there is a certain mentality of we don't ask for help. Well, and some people go, well, real men don't ask for help. Guess what? I'm a real man and I ask for help. And I ask for help from my team and they give it to me. I ask for help from my boss and they give it to me. And I use the programs that we have available here for us. And a lot of them are free. And I use it. So it's out there for you to use it. We can't read your mind. We can help you, we can direct you, but we can't read your mind.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Living in Recovery. If you or someone you know needs help, reach out to the Employee Assistance Program to reach a licensed professional counselor at 1-800-755-7002. For additional resources related to the Substance and Alcohol Misuse Prevention Program, please visit the CBP Wellness and Resilience Programs page on CBP.net. You can also send questions directly to CBP Resilience at cbp.dhs.gov.